Hi everyone, welcome into the Facebook Live Black and Blue Report edition on this Friday. Daniel Salerson, John the Shazer. We have a very special guest to start. Saints Executive Vice President and GM Mickey Loomis, also Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations for the Pelicans. How are you, Mickey? Good to see you.
Great. How are you guys?
Good, good.
We're doing great. We're going to jump into this because we know Mickey has a lot of things on his plate today. So, Mickey, 6-game winning streak for the Saints, the longest since the final 8 regular season games of 2011, and they also won the playoff game that year. But what are your thoughts as you watch this team win and continue to win?
Well, obviously we like winning 6 games in a row, but you also temper that with the knowledge that, look, we're halfway through the season. We've got a lot of football to play, and we can't get too caught up into what's happened the previous weeks. We need to focus on just this upcoming game and hopefully continue the win streak.
Now, I understand you saying that, but it's tough to tamp down that enthusiasm, especially when you're talking about fans. But do you see the team being able to kind of separate one from the other, especially, I guess, the veterans, when you've got veteran leadership like a Drew Brees who can kind of tell guys, hey, let's take it a little bit slow here?
Well, I think it's a bit of a concern. We do have some some really good veteran leaders on our team, but we also have a young team, and so they've been through this before. They haven't had this level of success in recent memory, so it's something we need to focus on. Sean talks about a lot about focusing on the next game and doing the things that have contributed to the win streak, and at the same time fix some of the mistakes that we've made in the games that we won.
We know that this team has striven to be more balanced in previous years. I think the 6-game winning streak has shown that more than anything. I think 193 passes, 190 rushes on offense, and that's something that this team has been looking for the last couple of years. Is that pretty much the way you've seen that this team has achieved that balance that they've been looking for?
Yeah, listen, I think coming into the season there was a focus on run the ball more effectively, but part of that balance is achieved when you're ahead in games in the second half and not playing from behind. And so we've had a lot more games where it's been either a close game or we've been ahead in the third and fourth quarters. So that contributes to that balance as well.
You guys are getting high marks everywhere for the evaluation process now, especially with the rookies. So we'll go individually through a couple of these guys. First round picks, obviously we'll start there. Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, I think, look, we've gotten a lot of contributions from this year's draft class, and instead of talking about them individually, I'd probably rather just talk about them as a group and say, look, that's a credit to our scouting staff, Jeff Ireland and his group, but it's also a credit to our coaches who've gotten these guys ready to play and haven't been afraid to put them in there and get their indoctrination under fire, if you will. Not to mention the fact that these guys have done it for themselves. They've come in, they've accepted the challenge, and done a great job this season so far.
I asked Sean this the other day, but when you draft guys, obviously you have high expectations for them. You want to see them contribute early, obviously, but when do you kind of get a feel for when a guy is ready? Or I know certainly you guys go through specific characteristics when you're drafting a player that you look for, but when do you know he's ready to contribute?
Yeah, I think, look, I think our coaches do a good job of understanding, what a player's strengths are and giving them opportunities to succeed and put them in a position to succeed. You're not going to get that until you get completely through an off-season, a training camp, preseason games, and really sometimes even into the regular season.
And speaking of your coaches, Sean Payton won his 100th game. You've been here for all of those, but what strikes you about that kind of accomplishment?
Well, it's, first of all, you have to last a while, and you only last a while if you've had success, and he certainly has, and he's been a great coach for us, and look, I'm more focused on his next 100 wins, not the past 100.
And also during that process, though, he wins 100 regular season, and he also passes Vince Lombardi on the all-time wins list with 106 because of the playoff victories, obviously. So, when you pass a name like Lombardi, the guy whose name is on the trophy, that's got to mean something.
Well, look, there's 41 coaches that have had 100 victories or more, and when you go through that list and you see who the names are, it's pretty impressive. It's really impressive. So to be part of that list is quite an accomplishment.
What's the feeling through the building, and maybe you can give us a better example of this than maybe Sean can, because those coaches get cocooned somewhat. But what's the feeling being 6-2 at the midpoint? I mean, the team was 4-4 at the midpoint of the previous 3 seasons, and obviously we know how those ended. But now 6-2 and seemingly on an upward trajectory.
Well, I think there's a little more confidence. Obviously, Sean has said this many times. Confidence comes from demonstrated ability, and so we've demonstrated that we can play in different types of games and win different types of games, and that gives our team confidence. And I feel like we've got some confidence downstairs. Now we need to keep that going.
How different is it watching this team operate the way they are now, without having to have, I guess, a Drew Brees throw for 330, 350 yards in order to be in a position to win? Now he can pretty much not take the chances that he might have had to take in some previous seasons, and really turn it over to the defense and have confidence that these guys will get the stop to get the win.
Yeah, that's complementary football, and it takes pressure off of the offense when you know that your defense is not only capable of stopping the other team but putting points on the board. They've done a great job with turnovers and even taking some of those turnovers and turning them into points.
Mickey, let's turn our attention to the Pelicans. Coming off a nice road trip, 3-1. They're 6-6 overall. Saw the team reach over 500 for the first time in a couple of years. What is your assessment of the team through 12 games so far?
That's a good question. I think we're still trying to find the right chemistry and still trying to learn how to play together. Obviously, that'll change a little bit when Rondo gets back, but there's been some good things. I think we've seen flashes of what we can be, and we've seen some good results, and we've seen other times where we've played well in stretches and then haven't been able to hold up at the end of games. So I think so far we're making progress.
This team struggled on the road the last couple of years, and they go 3-1 on this road trip. They've already had 5 wins on the road. What does this say? You know how hard it is to win on the road in the NFL. What does it say about this team that they've been able to have some success on the road so early in the season?
Yeah, I think it shows that they have some grit, and I think that's important in a long NBA season, and so that's been encouraging.
I think finally some people are starting to take notice of DeMarcus and AD playing well together. What have you seen from those two, just putting up monster numbers so far, playing together?
Well, I think first of all, I think that's what most of us expect, and it's probably not fair to them, but that's our expectation. And look, they're going to need to do that for us to be successful, and yet we also have to get other guys involved and other guys come through on any given night in order for us to win.
We've seen Dell sign some veteran guys this offseason with Tony Allen, Rajon Rondo. This team's a little older now, but how important is it having some of those veteran guys, especially with some of the young talent you have around them?
Yeah, look, I think that's critical for any team in any sport, is that you need to have veteran players that have leadership skills, that understand how to be pros, how to, the things that need to be done in the course of a season to win games, and so I think it's critical.
And lastly, basing on those veterans, you have 2 guys, Ian Clark and Rajon Rondo, that have championship experience. I know you still have some guys on the Saints team that were on that Super Bowl team. How is it important that you have 2 guys that know what it takes to win? Well,
again, I think it's critical, especially when you have a young team and when you have some of your core players that are young players in the league. I think if you go back and look at the teams that have won championships, you'll see them sprinkled with a lot of veterans that have playoff and championship experience.
Mickey, best of luck. Appreciate it.
Thank you.